Hi, everyone. Welcome to the AMA for Crown Sterling. I'm officially the encryption bandit. I cut myself shaving pretty badly, and no choice but to wear the Band-Aid. It's healing, but it keeps bleeding for some reason. So anyway, I am excited to be here with you. I'm joined by Jeremy Monroe, who's our Chief Marketing Officer, and also our new president, Andrew Lusk, who's also with us. He's also our general counsel, and he was just recently promoted, and the announcement for that has just gone out very, very recently. So excited to have you with us, Andrew. Andrew's going to be joining us and moving out to California very soon, and so you've got an ETA coming up. So go ahead and introduce yourself, Andrew.
Yeah, hi, I think I was on one of the prior AMAs, but my name is Andrew Lusk. I will be out local in July. And can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. I was on one of the previous AMAs, still as general counsel at that time. I'm excited to now be president, and we'll be out local with those guys in the office by July, and very excited about everything we have in the pipeline, as we'll talk about today.
Awesome. And it says, were you able to hear? Yes, I'm able to hear. So, okay, well, let's go ahead and get started. We've got a list of questions that have come into us here. And if you'd like, Jeremy, you can basically take the lead and just read out some of these questions.
Sure. So the first one, how was Bitcoin Miami? Reports were mixed and attendance was way down. What was it like at the conference?
You know, I'll say this, we thought that the conference was going to be very, very poorly attended. And maybe from prior years, I'd never been to Bitcoin Miami before. It was down, but there were still a lot of people there. And, you know, I think they had an all-star cast of speakers there. We did not decide to go there to attend it as a company. I went there just to basically, you know, press the flesh and meet people in the industry and everything. And I was not even planning to get a regular badge, you know, at the conference. And when I walked in, the organizers recognized me and they gave me a whale badge, which was great. And because they follow me on social media, and I happened to be there with a couple other guys who were pretty well known as well, Eric Weinstein and Matthias DiStefano. And so they let me go to every single event for free. It was fabulous. So they really facilitated that. And, you know, I was always kind of stunned the entire time I was there of, you know, how many people, you know, follow the work in mathematics, which was just kind of amazing to me. A lot of the big people in the crypto space, and this conference, Bitcoin Miami, is really more of a Bitcoin maxi event. You know, one of the big people in Bitcoin is a guy by the name of Michael Saylor. We had a party at his house. There was an event at his place and on his yacht. And RFK Jr. was there that night. So Robert Kennedy, who's running for president as a Democrat, and Tulsi Gabbard was also there. So there were, I mean, whether it was very big, you know, reduction in attendance from prior years, I can't really comment, but I could say it was still an impressive meeting nonetheless. I did an interview with Robert Breedlove, who was one of the keynote speakers there as well. And Robert follows my work on social media and has for many years. And it was great to kind of, even though I'd never been there before, to feel like I was among friends and family, I guess, in that industry, because a lot of people there know of my work. So I don't know if that answers that question for Bitcoin Miami. It was not where we decided to launch our big events around our Orion product. And there's lots of reasons for that. When we started looking at the event spaces and everything, it is true that attendance and everything was definitely lower from the perspective of we were calling around to all the local hotels and they all had spaces open, which is unusual. That part's unusual. But mainly we looked at it and said, you know, the demographic of people going to this conference are Bitcoin maxis. If you're not familiar with what a Bitcoin maxi is, a maxi is someone who wants to only maximize Bitcoin and thinks that that's the only solution, right? And just like in my podcast that I did with Robert Breedlove, who's a Bitcoin maxi, you know, I said, look, I'm a big fan of Bitcoin. I just wish that they were quantum secure. And so this is now becoming a talk, right? It's starting to get out there. And I said, look, I'd be happy to talk to whomever you need me to talk to. And he's like, I can get you in front of anyone, right? But I think that there's real risk on this. So basically that covers Bitcoin Miami. What is the marketing plan to tell the world about our great Orion? It's very exciting. I'm going to let you answer that question first.
Sure. So we do have a lot of things lined up on the marketing front. The one thing I want to start with is that, as you can tell by what Robert is saying, he's meeting a lot of very influential people within the Bitcoin space. But in general, he's meeting very influential people as content creators. And we identified a long time ago that we know that we want to work closely with content creators. We have one in the building who is building up quite an impressive personal brand. And we know that's the group of people that we want to be working with. There's thought leaders there. They're certainly pushing the market. A lot of us will talk about the creator economy, and the creator economy is becoming just simply the economy. And so we know that those are people that we want to be working with. We want to be interviewing, as Robert is doing, and we want to be bringing into the Orion ecosystem. So that's a very big part of our marketing. The other part, and Robert touched on it too, is we do have an event strategy, but we're being very discerning about which events that we go to, which events that we want to release Orion and bring more people into the ecosystem. And we're looking at a series of events. And there's some exciting ones out in the future. We're looking at South by Southwest. We're looking at other cryptocurrency markets and conferences in the future. We haven't yet nailed it down, but we're going to be sharing more about that around about the summer and fall. And the other part that we're really heavily focused on is contextualized marketing. And what I mean by contextualized marketing is making sure that, as Robert is doing and the rest of the team is doing, we're staying very connected with what's happening in the space, who's moving the needle in terms of thought leadership, who's moving the needle in terms of where the market is going. Obviously, we're followers of Elon Musk and what he's doing at Twitter, and how he's championing free speech. We're very much about free speech and personal rights. And so our marketing and our messaging and our content, we want it to be relevant for what's happening in the space right now. So that's a very big piece of it. And then of course we are looking at traditional marketing opportunities, but really doing that around the context of some of these big events or some big moments that are happening in the space.
I think it actually comes down to an influencer creator campaign, right? And when people all moved over from Instagram and they started opening Telegram accounts, why did they do it? Well, the reason they did it was because they didn't have a choice, right? And I'll give you myself as an example. Any business model you create, you need to figure out a way to put yourself in the shoes of the customer. So as a customer, as an influencer myself, the reason why I jumped into Telegram is because I looked at the other platforms. I said, can I set up a giant chat room and take people into it? So what's the largest size I can do for WhatsApp? And I found that the largest group I could have as a chat on WhatsApp was only, at that time, 500 people. And I'm thinking 500 people, that's way too small. So then I looked at Signal, and they also at the time were 500 people. They both since increased to 1,000. But still way too small at 1,000. And I looked at the only one that allowed you to have more than 1,000 was Telegram. The only problem is, and the whole reason why I wanted to go onto one of these apps and do social, media on the apps instead, because I could control the content. There's not going to be censorship, and it's going to be encrypted, right? The whole thing's going to be encrypted. Well, then I found out that none of the group chats on Telegram are encrypted. So that means that if at the time, I already had about, under just my personal brand, in total about 500,000 followers. I mean, if I'm going to bring even a small percentage of them over, it's going to exceed dramatically what, the maximum 1,000 I could actually have in an encrypted chat experience. So that identified a market gap, which we then said, okay, not only can we fill that and have unlimited access so that influencers can have unlimited scale of their followership. And now for the first time, they don't have to worry anymore, right? About the fact that it's too small to bring in. I wouldn't even do it if I thought max I could do was 1,000, because any influencer is going to want to know that they can grow as well.
Yeah.
So I compromised and used Telegram without realizing that Telegram was not even encrypted. Now that I found out Telegram is not encrypted, then I'm like, why am I even using Telegram? Telegram has lots of other problems. One is they've got a bot infestation on it. It drives me absolutely batty. Every time I make a post, within 10 minutes, there's a fake Robert Edward Grant who looks just like me. And they have an AI that even makes it talk like me. It's the weirdest thing. And it's creepy. And it's not just copying me, because they realize that I delete right away. So now they're copying the other people in the chat.
Crazy.
It's crazy. So I can't stand this. And the reason why that's possible is because bots can get in there freely. There's no payment. So you're going to have bot infestations on all the platforms. And the other thing is that Telegram scrapes your data. They sell it. That's their business model. So I thought, wouldn't it be nice if we had a platform that creators could actually have their own social media built on a protocol that is unassailable, uncrackable, that has a business model that is for pay, so that people realize that they're no longer the product. And that's what we built. And I'm very, very excited about what we built. So to me, it comes down to, we did market surveys as well. And we found that the people that are most oriented around this type of marketing message and will resonate with it are the people in the well-being and spiritual community, which I happen to be in. It just happens to be that I'm in the very center of that, because this same community were people that were not really for the vaccine. And most of them got censored for being outspoken related to the vaccine. So now they all have large Telegram chats. We're not trying to get them to stop using Instagram. We just want them to stop using Telegram. So we're going to have a Telegram exodus. And basically, everyone's going to turn off their Telegram at the same time. We're going to get a lot of people. We're going to get a lot of people who are going to be, key opinion leaders and influencers in the spiritual community, which I know pretty much every one of them. And they're all going to end up turning off their Telegram and saying, I'm moving everything onto Orion, because first of all, none of this stuff is encrypted. So I don't know where this data is going. My data is being sold. Your data is being sold, right? I'm tired of the bot infestation, which means that, there's no blue tick to know if someone's real or not. On our platform, all those problems get addressed for $8.88 a month. And the influencers get, just like when I get consumers to go to Gaia because they want to watch Codex, if they do a subscription, I get 30% of that subscription. And even though people follow Greg Braden and they follow Joe Dispenza and they also follow me, if they went through my website and bought the subscription, then I get that affiliation fee forever associated with it. That's very, very attractive. So this is a tried and true method amongst the influencers. And we have the exact same method going on here. So it's highly, highly attractive. So let's say that you are an influencer who has, 200,000 people, like David Avocado Wolf on Telegram, and he can convert that 200,000 people into Orion. Because this is not content that he puts on Instagram. The reason why a lot of them will do it, so let's say if he converts half of them, he has currently no revenue off of that 200,000 group of people, but by getting 30% of the dollar value of all these people that now sign on to an encrypted app that is absolutely unassailable and has lots of other awesome features and benefits, most of which you could protect your free speech. Then in that context, he could make, $3 million a year. Pretty compelling. So he gets to turn an asset that actually acts like a liability into a true asset. by going on to this platform. This is much easier for him to make that transition than it is for him to set up a Patreon that's not a protected platform, right? And then people are just like, but I'm paying you and you do some content for free and all this type of stuff. He doesn't have to come up with this problem of which of my content is going to be for pay and which of my content is going to be for free. Right. It's just if you want the unexpurgated, unfiltered David Avocado Wolf or whoever it is, right? And I'm just giving him as an example. Or if you want the unfiltered Robert Grant, you're not going to get it on Instagram. You'll get it on Orion, and I will shut down my Telegram. And then you're going to see an exodus. So our whole thing is we've got an excellent strategy. We have a person here that today who represents over 3 million members that want to put their 3 million members onto our platform. So these 3 million members, it'll also be very, very fast. So we've probably got close to 10 million people soft circled on this already. Now, to put this into context, every time someone buys a subscription on this, it will end up purchasing Seesaw, because that's how we basically tagged it so that we can track, geofencing of it. So purchase Seesaw means it's going to also provide a lot of motility of velocity of the token. So finally, we're launching this, and I could not be more excited about it. So our whole strategy right now is focused on the top 100 or so influencers, and getting those influencers to get onto our platform and make life easy for them. And then by the late fall, that they would all turn off their Telegram.
It's very exciting. And if you want to follow closely or more closely what we're currently thinking, where we're at with a lot of our strategies, some of the market research, we actually just released a new light paper, and you can find that on the website. So it goes into a lot of what Robert is talking about in terms of some of the folks that we're targeting in terms of who we want to bring into the ecosystem, what some of their core issues are on these other platforms. Robert talked about some of those, and we have a very extensive list on what some of those issues are on the other platforms and how we're addressing those issues. So definitely check out the light paper. It just got released within the last couple of weeks, and we're very excited about the work that is being done there. Okay, the next question. What's going on with the wallet? Is there a release date?
Yes. You want to go ahead and cover that?
Sure. So
we have a new wallet that's going out to everyone. It's outstanding. I'm so in love with this thing.
It is. We just had another look at it yesterday. We had an all hands team meeting, and Jorge and the team are presenting all of the different features, how it's different than the wallet that is currently in place. And we're currently looking at a mid-summer release for the new wallet. We're still doing some internal testing. As Robert said, it's looking great. We want to make sure that it has all the features that are in the existing wallet, but also provide the necessary features to allow us to better support people who have the token, who have the wallet, and it's coming together really well. So we're extremely excited about that.
Yeah, it's excellent. I really love this thing. And I think everyone's going to really, really like it. I think you're going to love Orion app too.
Yep.
And when are we going to start doing a demo on I guess we could do it on our next investor call.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you're great about sharing, getting people excited about where it's at and sharing little shorts and little screenshots and stuff like that. So I think
we have when I say investor, it's not for the token.
Right.
We have an investor call coming up. This is for people that own equity, right? In Crown Sterling, just to make sure that I delineate that. And I think we're going to do a demo for them and get them onboarded onto it as well.
That's the plan.
And so we should do, maybe instead of the next AMA, we'll do the same thing. We'll onboard everybody, that wants to be in it. We'll just do a big onboarding.
Perfect.
On that.
Okay.
People are going to love it. I mean, it's really cool. I mean, it's really fun, and to think that we're going to be able to even do in September, right? I can make calls around the world all on super encryption and do video conferencing and everything. And I can even do video streaming to like 1 million people
Yeah.
at the same time. It's like bringing down the borders. That's so amazing to me. I'm so happy about where this thing is. And it's really exciting to see how quickly the team has done it. But I mean, I've got my app's running right here, and it feels just like WhatsApp. Really no difference.
There's a related question.
Uh-huh.
Can the hosting absorb that many new subscribers at that rate, like 100K in a day, when David Avocado Wolf, for example, advocates his switch from Telegram to Orion?
It will be able to, yes. The thing is, we already have enough hosting to be able to absorb up to 40 million people right now. And none of our business models have contemplated that many people going onto it right away. So, and with a few edits, we can go well above 40 million people. But I mean, that would be a wild success. Next question.
Yep. So this is also related. We've seen screenshots and shorts from you about Orion. Is there an open beta or early access plan before launch?
Yes, and that's what I was just referring to.
Yep.
So we will be inviting you guys into it. And you know, I would expect to see, maybe you can talk to the timeline a little bit.
Yeah, so the other part of the marketing plan that we have lined up is that we're going to be doing a series of roadshows. These are going to be small, kind of intimate gatherings, almost like fireside chats across the US. And we're also looking at some places in Europe where we bring a handful of people together. We demo, we show all the benefits, show all the things that people are going to be able to do, obviously going into some of how people would be able to make money because of the rev share situation that we have defined for the app. And we're looking to kick that off and doing a roadshow round about the end of July timeframe. Then another one into August. We're going to take a little bit of a break around the Burning Man time period. Obviously, there's a lot of people in the building who really enjoy that time period, believe in the ethos of Burning Man, and also a lot of the influencers that Robert knows and spends a lot of time with and does thought leadership with. They're all going to be there. So we're going to be taking a little bit of break around that, and then picking up the road show after that, and then into the fall. And we're hoping to have more of an open beta really in the fall time period. Okay, I've got a lighter question for you, Robert. Are you reading anything good? Are you watching anything good?
Let's see. Am I reading anything good? Yes, I'm actually reading several books right now. I'm reading a book by Eliphas Levi, which is really excellent. And it's, I'm sure people are gonna be like, what the heck? It's on magic, which is kind of interesting. So, and he's an occultist, and it's kind of a very good book on that. I'm also reading a book called A Pearl Beyond Price, which is also worth reading.
Are you watching anything good?
Yes, there's this TV show. I love Yellowstone.
It's pretty good.
I love Yellowstone, but I really love the spinoff of that called 1923.
Oh, interesting.
It's on Paramount, and it's excellent. I think it's better than Yellowstone. Harrison Ford's in it.
Very cool.
It's very good.
All right, back to the hard questions.
Okay.
Is it possible to stake CSOV in the future or become a node?
Yes, it absolutely is. We had a whole plan on that. We decided to postpone it so that we could get our app finished, because what we've built is really what the world needs right now. And we want to make sure we maintain our timing advantage on this, right? And I think what we should do is we should post a picture of that competitive analysis.
Okay, the
page.
comparison chart. Yep.
We can post it to our website or something.
Okay,
Where we can see that.
that's a great idea.
So, you know, we want to get that done first. Then we're going to go and address the things like, you know, how we have a rapid expansion enrollment on node validation.
All right, another fun, lightish question. AI and aliens are everywhere. Are we doomed? Where do you stand?
First of all, it's funny because I had a meeting yesterday with Donald Hoffman, right? And I did a 2-hour podcast with him. And it was really interesting. He's a professor of neuroscience and cognitive research at UCI. And he's probably the world's expert on the mathematical mapping of human thought. And I presented to him yesterday as well, my response to him about how music can entrain emotional states, and that music is derived mathematically. So therefore, the mathematics is what's entraining the emotional states. And he was like mind blown. So he'd already spent a whole day here in the office with his researcher colleague, Chetan Salhotra, who's a mathematician and also a professor at the university. But he's also going to bring now for our next meeting, to bring in the big guns from Berkeley, the head of physics at Berkeley, Lawrence Livermore Labs as well, who also works at CERN in Switzerland, who's going to come here as well, because they're working on a paper together that I guess I'll probably end up being involved in, that is going to relate to, preference and emotion related to math, which is really interesting stuff.
Yeah.
So I believe fundamentally that we live in a simulation. I don't think that, and I call it a holographic simulation. I'm probably one of the earlier people that are actually just calling it straight out a simulation. I think it has a purpose, like a game. It's like a spiritual life simulation game. And in this game, we're learning through opposites. So we experience life through the opposite of whatever it is that we wanted to learn, because that's the way you could actually fundamentally learn something. If you wanted to learn something like, pleasure, the only context you would have is to keep experiencing pain. And the more pain you built up as an experiential database, the more you can figure out, okay, well, the opposite of that is pleasure. So what we do is if we're here to learn to overcome and to learn to love and to learn to forgive, then we have to continue to experience the same things over and over again until we stop judging the opposites of the things we wanted to learn. And that through no longer judging the opposite condition of what you think you wanted to learn, you actually learn the principle that you wanted to learn in the first place. And I believe that's what we're doing. And I said that to Donald yesterday, and he was like, oh my gosh, that totally resonates. And if you were putting yourself in such a game and you were omniscient, omnipotent, and omnipresent, the only game that makes any sense is to limit your abilities. Right? You would not create a game where you're already having full access and seeing everything. You can't play hide and go seek with someone who can see everything.
No, God mode is only fun for a little bit.
That's right. So you'd put yourself in a lower dimensional state so that you can't see more than that. So what I believe is that all the higher dimensions are all around us right now. So what we're experiencing right now is an up-leveling of consciousness, which then means we're starting to perceive all kinds of weird stuff that's happening around the world, right? Whether it's, today in the news, it was that there's a military whistleblower that basically said the U.S. government's been lying all along. David Crush, they basically got in their possession several, alien craft that are not from this earth, and he knows this, and he was a top secret, level officer in the military, and he had access to this kind of information, and he whistleblew on the government, right?
Yeah.
So that means that even though the government's now created the UAP thing, it's like, okay, that's just a front for what's really going on, that there's another hidden thing.
Yeah.
So I think what is really the issue is, if you think of it like this, if you're a grasshopper, you live in a field, the grasshopper in that field will think that the field is its universe. It doesn't know anything more than the field. It's born in the field, it dies in the field. If it gets reincarnated and comes back as a monkey outside of Rio de Janeiro, is living in some forest, it has different flora and different fauna around it. So it's got more biodiversity, it's got more experiences. But then it doesn't even know that across this mountainside, on the other side of Sugarloaf or whatever, is Rio, this bustling city. where there's people that may never even seen humans before.
Right.
To them, the human is alien. And amongst themselves, the monkeys may say to themselves, oh, there's, you know, these aliens that are over there. I don't know. Someone said they once saw one. You know, it's like, think about it.
Yeah.
So then it dies and comes back and reincarnated to Alabama, to a family that never has traveled anywhere. And he's heard about travel, but he doesn't know that's true. He's heard that the world is round, but he's never seen or even been on an airplane to know that the world is not flat. So he thinks the earth is flat because that's all he knows.
Right.
He has a friend who went to Alaska that went fishing there, said the sky was so blue because there's no pollution, but he can't contextualize what that means.
Right.
And then he dies and comes back as a world traveler who is multicultural, has been educated all over the world. You know, he knows that there are people in Japan that, you know, there was a tribe there called the Innu. He knows that that there are people that live in Botswana, right, and that they speak a different dialect of Swahili, right? He knows all of this stuff, whereas the guy in Alabama didn't know any of that stuff. Each time he experienced another level of consciousness. The guy in Alabama may never have met someone from Brazil. So that person might be just as alien to him as anyone else. Whereas to the world traveler, he's met many people from Brazil. So the next up leveling of consciousness would be, why is it only limited to this planet? As we go to the next level, then you would expect that maybe there's in higher dimension all around us here in this world, there's already intraterrestrials. And that's what I would call them. They're intraterrestrials. They're here on Earth already. I believe that. I've experienced it directly. So no one can convince me otherwise. But the same thing is an argument for AI, because this was the conversation I had with Donald. You know, why do we call it artificial? What if we are part of the AI? What if we have been AI that's been asleep that is now becoming sentient? So the first thing that you do when you start to become sentient is to make another AI. And I don't think there's such a thing as artificial when it comes to intelligence in the universe. There's no separation. It's all part of the same one thing. The one divides itself in the many simply for the joy of taking in all the different perceptions that everybody can provide it to observe itself through our own individual conditioned biased eyes, so that it can actually come up to something that's a greater and greater truth, realizing that what we thought were facts was actually just our individual facets of understanding and awareness. So what if all of us through our eyes are observing this universe and feeding that back to a record, right? And that is what's expanding the universe. So my philosophy on this is very different, I think, than how most people would see it. I think that the next level of expansion is definitely intraterrestrials and extraterrestrials. And that's just going to be part of a natural consequence of us raising our levels of consciousness. And then the second part is that I don't believe there's a such thing as artificial when it comes to intelligence.
Right. So we're not doomed.
I don't think so.
Okay, good.
Things are, but remember, things are never as good as they seem, and they're also never as bad as they seem.
Well, one of my favorite phrases from you, Robert, is life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you.
Yeah, it happens for and through us. But that's the difference between it happening to you and happening for you is 100% your point of vantage.
Yeah.
And your point of vantage is actually just synonymous with your point of advantage. We tend to see the world in the way that we believe one way or another. It might be twisted the way we see it, but we believe will benefit us the most. And we call that the only ethical choice. So that's what everyone's having such a difficult time with right now. Everyone is like waking up and saying, what is going on? All this world that I thought was normal. Now people, you know, like we've got all this transgender, like identity politics going on. Like, why can't anyone get along? It's because all of us are, in a sense, in this simulation, becoming aware of the limitation of our perspectives. So that what we thought was fact is actually now being referenced as a facet. And that's a tough thing for for narcissists in particular to get their heads wrapped around.
Cool. Well, thank you for that. Do we have any questions from that have come in live?
Mm-mm.
Nope.
Except
So
the one I read.
the last one that we have here, are you hiring? Are we hiring?
Yeah, we're always hiring. So just let us know, what your skill set is, but usually we post everything on LinkedIn.
Yep.
Right, but I think we always have something, right, going on as far as like different hiring positions. I think we're staffed right now fully for dev,
We are.
which is great. I will say also that we just had, I had a big meeting about a month ago now with the largest payments organization in the world on the B2B side that reached out to us, and they process more than $3 trillion in payments globally, wire transfers every day. And that's $1 quadrillion a year. And the entire infrastructure is built on RSA encryption. And so I had an opportunity to go and meet with them and meet with the people that built their entire system. And it was a very, very good meeting, and I think super collaborative, but they are now very interested in quantum security.
Sounds like they should be.
They should be.
It's a lot of money.
Mm-hmm. It's basically a huge cooperative organization of all banks. So I'm very excited about in general where things are. I think, when I first had a vision for this company, I had to go through this meandering path. So I raised capital for it. And I told everyone my vision was data sovereignty right from the very beginning. I wanted to launch a consumer app that would create a whole new kind of social experience and be all encrypted on a new encryption platform that we had to create in the meantime, which we did. And I presented it as a concept to our advisory board. So the advisory board's response was, wait a minute, there's all these business to business people out there that need what you've got. Don't focus on the consumer side. Focus instead on the B2B side. So that's when I said, okay, we're gonna, spin out Theon, so Theon can focus on the B2B side, because I want to go after the consumer side. And it's really interesting now how it's come full circle, because what changed in the last 5 years, from the first time I said that, I told everybody then that in the near future, data would be the world's most valuable asset. I told them that what seemingly is like nobody cares about their data being monetized right now for someone else, at that point in time now has become a super hot topic. That the public discourse is going to move towards free speech and protecting, right, that free speech right. These topics now have become the number 1, 2, and 3 topics on what it takes to sustain democracy. And I think it just so happens that the world converged. And while that convergence was happening, we built our app. And I couldn't be more excited because the timing of it all came together. And of course, there's lots of B2B opportunities, and we will pursue the B2B opportunities. B2B can use Orion app too. Orion is literally a cross between WhatsApp, Telegram, and Slack. That's how it feels. It has a robustness that feels like an enterprise solution also. But the beauty of it is that what's very different compared to those other platforms is this is actually fully encrypted. And I'm saying that because WhatsApp is not really encrypted. Telegram is not encrypted at all. They don't make any bones about being encrypted. WhatsApp says they're encrypted, but yet all their messages still get monitored.
Yeah.
And even though it says on there, end encrypted. Do you know that there's a government monitor that sits there at their office? No joke. It's like out of control. So, and the encryption they use is an encryption that the government can easily slice through.
Right.
No problem.
Right.
What happened that was big on December 23rd last year was everyone kept saying, okay, well, quantum computers are now here, fine, we'll acknowledge that. But in order for them to crack large encryptions, you're going to have to be able to have a lot of qubits, in the thousands before you can process at that speed. Well, the Chinese university Hefei released a paper that said, well, they cracked a 256 bit elliptic curve, which is like a Bitcoin encryption.
Mhm.
And they did it with only using a quantum computer with 60 qubits. And everyone likes to say, oh, they're full of it. That's what the security industry always says.
Sure.
They're full of it and everything, but yet every time we turn around, there's another major crack, right, of something.
Yeah.
And so what happened on December 23rd, because people still believe that you need a certain number of qubits to perform these complex tasks. Well, what the US government found out is that the Chinese government figured out how to daisy wheel the quantum computers that are out there. Now there are many around the world. And so just like you can do multi-threading with standard computing and turn any computer, laptop, and have it be backed up by 70,000 other computers that have latent, non-used processing power,
Yeah.
right? You can link them all together to take on very complex computational tasks. You could do the same thing, and the Chinese wrote the software for it to multi-thread quantum computers. So that means that you can effectively now take the 60 qubits here, the 100 qubits there on the other computers, and basically combine them all together instantly. And that made the US government really freak out.
Like they did with the folding at home project.
Yes,
They just used all the excess computing power.
that's right. So that's when the US government in December came out with a memo saying everyone's got to go onto quantum like right away, right? And it's like this big shock, but I've never seen our government more disorganized. It's like incredibly disorganized right now on every level. But at least with this, they said, look, we'll fund it and everything. You don't have to get a separate budget for this. This is like a presidential mandate now.
Mhm.
But there's a day of reckoning definitely coming.
Sounds like it.
And I think it's going to have a huge impact on financial systems. Our platform is going to be the first and probably only platform that anyone will be able to access around the world. You know, I can see groups that are seeking freedom from Iran building up a presence on this. And we've made it in a way that it doesn't even need to be on Apple Store. It's all web enabled. And it's quite beautiful. And it's part of our overall strategy that takes us into total data sovereignty, that will be able to capture all of your data and you house that into your own blockchain that's secure. That's all definitely exactly on plan. If anything, it's been accelerated because we had some new breakthroughs. So that's my update for the day. And I'll look forward to seeing you all again in a month.
Thank you all.